Hello, welcome back, and thank you for joining me for another video. As you know, I've just become a parent and I've been reflecting a lot on the parenting and the experiences that I've had and the things that I've gone through. And when I'm thinking about what it is that I want to give to my child, what key things do I want to really instill in my daughter's life? One of them that comes to mind is that I really want my child to have a love of knowledge, to have a love of learning, to really make it, a passion for her, to have a real appreciation for, wisdom and understanding. Because when I think back to how I've been able to avoid some of the, common pitfalls of other people from my type of background who come from single parent homes, who have been excluded from school, have criminal records. And I was always fearful that, I was going to end up a statistic. When I look at the children that were in the centres that I used to go to, the pupil referral units, because I was there from pretty much, I've spent more time in pupil referral units than I have in normal school, because I was there in year 6 when I got kicked out, and I was there from half of year 7, the whole of year 8, and then half of year 9. There was probably 3 things that I knew that really stood me apart from 99% of the other kids that came to this place. The first was boundaries. These kids, not all of them, but they had typically unlimited freedom. They could do what they want, go out. A lot of them smoked cigarettes, went to parties, were drinking, they were doing all of that. The discipline was just completely different to what I would understand, because they could shout and scream at their parents and swear at their parents and do all sorts. But obviously I knew that I couldn't do that. I came from a very strict house. I woke up in the morning and I had to do chores first thing. Me and my twin sister had to sweep and do the washing up and clean up the house in the morning before we did anything else, before we even went to school. I went to church at least twice a week. I was not allowed to watch wrestling on TV because it was too violent. So I had all of these boundaries and restrictions on me that I knew 99% of the other kids that I was around didn't. The other thing that was clearly different between me and the rest of them was my situation. Now, to be in this place, you had to have been kicked out of school. So all of us had been excluded or suspended from our mainstream school. And some of the people there had been arrested and were going through court cases or whatever. But everyone had charges that were dealt with in a youth court. I was the only person who was dealing with Crown Court proceedings, the biggest court that you can get except for the High Court. I was the only one that was actually going through that. I was the only one that had to sign on to the sex offenders register. I had psychologists and youth offending team meetings every 2 weeks. And over the course of being in the unit for 2.5 years, I'm seeing kids come and go, come and go, come and go. I was the only one who because of their issues, couldn't get back into school quickly. No one really spent more than 3-4 months in this place. But I was there for 2.5 years, to the point where they had to have meetings with the police, youth offending team, somebody from Bexley, education board, education welfare officer. All these people had to come and sit down in a room on one occasion and kind of get to the bottom of why it is I'm still not back in school yet, So I knew that my situation put me in an unusual or unique position compared to everyone else. The clear, most obvious difference between me and 99% of everybody else in these places was the fact that I was black. Now, because of where we live, like I said in the first video, we live on a borderline between Southeast London and Kent. So if I literally lived across the road, the pupil referral unit that I would have been sent to would have been in the borough of Greenwich, and I would have been surrounded by black boys and girls. But because I lived on this side, I was sent to the Bexley pupil referral unit, and I'm surrounded by white boys and girls. Now, it's just a matter of fact. Being black in this environment narrowed my pool of friends, because some people came from families that had ignorant attitudes. There was a tomboy. There was a girl who was like a tomboy who went to this centre. I don't know how, but I was invited back round to her house with everyone else. Like, there was boys and girls there. There was maybe 5 or 6 of us. I just followed these people because I wanted company. I wanted to be part of some kind of friendship group. We got to this girl's house and everybody was, now as an adult, I realized that everyone was smoking weed in this girl's living room. And her dad comes home. sees everyone there, and according to her, she's allowed to smoke in her house. She could do what she wants, it's absolutely fine. The dad came into the living room, sees everyone there. He calls her into the kitchen. She comes back out, and then she said that I had to leave because her dad didn't know me. It's only now that I think back on, all those type of different experiences, like, come on, man, how did you not get the hint? I was constantly let down by people who I felt should have defended me in situations or should have spoke out for me, and they didn't. And this wasn't just other kids. This was like teachers as well. So we had one trip where we had to go, and it was a football trip where the team were playing another pupil referral unit in Leighton Orient. And we'd come back from the game. This was on the way to the game, right? One kid who was in year 10 or year 11, and I always knew him to be racist. I didn't like him. He came and sat next to me, and he seemed like he was being all right. He was just asking me questions, but he kept going on that he wanted to see the palm of my hands, right? And I was confused, like, what do you mean? Like, what do you want to see my hands for? He goes, show me your hands, show me your hands. And I never clocked this before, but when you're black, the palm of your hand is a different color to the front of your hand. I never thought nothing of it. And I guess if you're white, your palms of your hand is the same color as the back of your hand. But these are things that have never come into my mind before. This guy's sitting next to me going on about my hands being a different color, about how this is when you're up against the wall and you get spray painted or some shit. And obviously I'm not finding it funny. In this school, like I said, I had to be very guarded. I didn't really know who my friends were, who I could really trust, until I got into year 9 and Tommy came. Now, Tommy was like most of the other kids in this place. He had no boundaries on him at home. He could do what he wanted. He smoked cigarettes, he smoked weed. But he didn't like coming to this place at all. Tommy showed me all about rap music, Snoop Dogg. Like, I remember borrowing his Snoop Dogg albums, playing PlayStation at his house. He showed me about Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, all of these movies and things that most black kids growing up would have been exposed to. I never knew nothing about it. So Tommy showed me about all of this stuff. So yeah, I just had so much love for him, man. I knew Tommy's mum wasn't racist. I've been to Tommy's house. His mum was fine. She was absolutely cool with me, and I couldn't sense no kind of negativity at all. So I could go to Tommy's house, I could hang around with him, and it wasn't a problem. If I didn't go to the centre, Tommy would never turn up because he had no interest in going, and his mum was never going to enforce it, right? But I would knock for him every single day. Even though going to his house was out of my way, I would still do it because I would need the company. I'd want someone to be with. Sometimes it would only be me and him, or me and maybe somebody else in the class. So I needed the company. I'd been in enough fights, I'd been chased down by racist boys enough times to and from this place that I needed someone to have my back. I now started to love going to the pupil referral unit because I had a friend, But I'd been there for 2.5 years. It was way longer than anyone expected me to be there for. And I guess the coconut prayers had broken the curse and the school had finally accepted me. But it was known as the worst school in the borough of Greenwich. And I'm not just saying that. The school had actually been marked to be closed down. There was only year 9, 10 and 11. So there was no year 7s and no year 8s because the school was closing down, like I said. So the worst school in the borough, beggars can't be choosers. It was single sex, so it was all boys school, but there was way more black kids here than I'd ever experienced since I was living back in Camberwell. And I couldn't fit in straight away. I couldn't find friends. But so every single day after school, I would always go back to Tommy's house and chill with him for a few hours, play some PlayStation, ask him what he's up to, and try and encourage him to carry on going to school or to even try and come into my school. Because clearly, like, they wouldn't let anyone come in. You're not going to have a problem getting in there, but he just had no interest. I'd carry on knocking for Tommy every couple of weeks until he stopped answering the door. One day, his mum opened it and said that he'd moved to his dad's house, and that was the last that I saw of Tommy. So, we fast forward to 2018. So I'm sitting on the train, and I had like this sixth sense that something was going to happen, because I could sense that there was commotion further down at the end of the carriage. So I kind of had my hand ready to record just in case. And as the commotion was coming closer, I just hit record, and I'm just getting this smell. And I could see someone making their way down to the carriage, asking everyone for money, left, right, and centre. And as I put my glasses up, I'm looking, and it is fucking Tommy.
Does anyone have any spare change for food? Does anyone have any spare change for food?
Tommy.
Hey, what's up, kid?
Yeah. What's going on, man?
Fuck all, man. Say more shit, innit? I don't know how I got like this. I'm just messing around, innit? Just taking every day as it comes and whatnot. Yeah, pretty low down, innit?
Jeez. That used to be my best friend. Like, oh man, it was the saddest thing for me ever. I mean, I tried to have a conversation with him, but I could tell his mind wasn't there, but he remembered me. He knew exactly who I was. And what really messes me up when I think about it is how he looked exactly the same. Like, he hadn't changed at all. His face, like, he literally looked like the 13, 14-year-old kid that used to be my best friend. Exactly the same. But it's just that he was a crackhead now or something, man. And when I really think about how it is he ended up where he's ended up and I haven't, I just have to think about the boundaries that he didn't have at home. And the fact that he never had a passion or love of knowledge or learning. Like, he hated going to school, or he hated coming to the centre to get an education. Whereas me, when I was given the opportunity to learn something, when I was given the opportunity to find a passion, I grabbed it with both hands because I knew that I needed it. Like, but he was just different in that respect. And I can't help but thinking that the combination of the two played a huge factor in where he's ended up today. And the fact that I had boundaries at home, they didn't stop me getting into trouble. You know, in some ways I could say maybe how stifling my home environment was is probably what got me into trouble later on. But at the same time, having that love and passion for knowledge and learning meant that my path to kind of changing my life was so much easier, because all someone had to do was just dangle a subject in front of me and, you know, tell me that I'm good at it and I'm gonna go for it, you know. And it just makes me so sad that my boy Tommy probably never had that, you know. So that's why, man, like, as a parent, the one thing that I'm adamant about passing on to my child is you have to love learning, you have to love knowledge. I don't care what you're learning, I don't care what subject it is, but you need to be learning something at all times. You need to be widening your horizons and you know what I mean? Because knowledge is key, man. Knowledge is power and all of that good stuff. I'm done talking today, man. Wait for the next video. Bye.